Hello everyone, welcome to ED 675, Topic 5. After viewing your post on Topic 5 on the discussion board, we wanted to take the opportunity to address some of the questions and concerns you had in relation to SAMR and integrating technology within your instruction. We also wanted to synthesize everyone's questions and look-fors that you would use when coaching teachers in integrating technology. So first, we're going to just discuss the SAMR model. Just to remind you, substitution and augmentation. These are ways that we are enhancing teaching and learning through using technology. Typically, these ways are, yes, motivating, are, yes, engaging. However, they are not really higher level skills and are not really promoting the 21st century skills. The modification and redefinition is using technology in a way that has never been thought of before. It is having student products and student processes that have never been even conceived when we were in school. This is transforming learning. This is really putting the learning back on students and is really allowing us to think about things that we've never thought before, provide resources that are at our fingertips. When you think of SAMR, you can connect it to Bloom's taxonomy. The higher you go in the continuum, the more higher level thinking skills are necessary. When we're redefining and modifying, students are the ones that are creating. Students are the ones that are evaluating and analyzing. And when they do that, they are meeting the 21st century skills. They're communicating in ways that they weren't able to before. They're collaborating with not only their peers, but their teacher, their parents, other stakeholders, and other people around the world. They're thinking critically and applying all the skills that they've learned throughout their learning. And finally, they're creating, which is probably the most important. So why SAMR? We use SAMR as a reflection tool. It's really important that we realize that it's not an evaluation tool, and it's okay where we are, but it's not okay to stay there. At Halstead, we kind of take the technology pieces that we're seeing around the building, and as a group, a small group, a grade level, or even across grade levels, we think about where does our instructional practice fall on the SAMR continuum. Through doing that, we can really see where are we and then make some reflective decisions and make some goal setting so that we can move forward. So these are some considerations to avoid the rut. And when we talk about rut, it means random use of technology. These are kind of synthesizing all of the questions and look-fors that you discussed during your discussion post for Topic 5. So first thing to consider is, does this activity or product support Common Core standards and the learning goal? We always need to be thinking about what is the purpose? What do we want students to learn? Is this activity going to support that end goal? Are we ensuring that 21st century skills are met, particularly that students are acting as creators? So we're thinking, by using this tool, are students able to create? Are they able to communicate? Are they thinking critically? Is it meaningful and memorable? The things that you remember the most probably from your childhood is when you were creating. So when we use this activity or we use this tool, we want to make sure that this is going into long-term memory and that it's meaningful, that it's not just a random use. It's not just using technology for the sake of using technology. And finally, is it a good use of instructional time? Am I substituting something that I could do on pencil and paper in 5 minutes, but taking an hour to do it online? Those are really some questions that we need to think of as reflective practitioners. And that's how the SAMR model can come into play. These are all questions that we can think about or that we can use when we are coaching so that we can make sure that teachers are using instructional technology in meaningful ways. So some concerns that you guys addressed in your discussion posts were that teachers are unfamiliar with the tech tools, that how are we supposed to teach students how to use them when we don't even know everything that's available? The district does not provide adequate professional development, and that I don't have time for students to get to know the tool. So here are some possible solutions. First of all, your peers are your troubleshooters. Just like you would collaborate when thinking of planning lessons, you're also collaborating in ways of thinking about utilizing technology. So when you're having troubles or you want to come up with cool, or you're thinking about cool digital tools, talking to your counterparts is probably going to be the greatest tool that you can have. You have to go slow to move fast. This means why try to get to know 15 tools kind of well when you can get to know one tool extremely well? Think, what can give me the biggest bang for my buck? So when you are exploring different tools, think about what tool can I use in a lot of different ways? What tool is really going to allow students to be the creators, students to be the collaborators, and students to think critically? And finally, can't the students be the experts? Students are the ones that know tools better than anyone else. They help us troubleshoot all the time. They can figure out a tool faster than we ever could. Could they be making tutorials on how to use these tools and posting them on the student drive? Could we view them as teachers? Could other students view them to try to figure things out? That in itself is a 21st century skill. That in itself is an enrichment opportunity. So your concerns. That redefinition doesn't always seem possible. Sure, when we're redefining, we really need to be smart about what redefining looks like. So we want to think about our students, the creators. We keep saying that over and over and over again. If students are the creators, then you're moving towards redefining teaching and learning. Finally, typically, if you make a project or some sort of culminating event, you are redefining. It's going to be a little bit easier to redefine because redefining really is going to take time, and it's really going to take a bunch of different skills. Thinking back to our Bloom's taxonomy, Bloom's basically says that we're evaluating, we're analyzing, we're creating. So all of those things usually come into play when we're talking about a culminating event. Finally, addressing a need. You can redefine by differentiating. Think about the computer can be a way for teachers to be in 10 different places at once. I could create a video tutorial and leave pauses in between so that students can follow multi-step directions. I would not have been able to do that 10 years ago without the device. Also, it allows us to differentiate using BCPS1 or any other tool. I can provide students opportunities that are on their level. Reaching beyond tradition. Think about things that we were never exposed to when we were learning. And finally, think about, is this transforming? Is this providing students an opportunity to really embark on the world around them instead of just within the four walls of the classroom? One of the other concerns that we had is that the examples that we provided to you using the SAMR model were typically about reading and writing. So we were asking, how can we redefine what's happening in my math classroom? So here are some examples of ways that you can redefine using technology in your math classroom. For instance, real-life examples. We talked about games. Instead of just providing students games that meet a certain standard or a learning target, you can provide students games and then they have to be the evaluators. They evaluate the online games using the SAMR models or the SAMR model, the standards that you provide, and the questions that we talked about earlier. Through that, they then would answer the question, how would you change the game to meet these standards? And then by the end of the unit, they can design a game or app that would better meet the standards. That is totally thinking outside the box. Another way is Google Earth. Google Earth provides us a lot of opportunities to examine angles within walking distance. If you're talking about hypotenuse, you might say, oh, if I take this track to school, is this quicker than going this way? So using Google Earth can be really, really exciting. And then there's an opportunity to collaborate around the world. We can Skype with a class and compare temperatures. We can compare populations. We would never have been able to do that before. You can also make connections to science. So if you're Skyping with a class and you're using a Google form or a Google a spreadsheet, you can think about the average temperatures and what are the connections to that and the location of the equator. That's not even just making a connection to math, it's also making a connection to science. Students as teachers. If we let the students become the teacher, create tutorials to show students different ways to think about a problem or to think about a strategy, that is redefining in math. Have students collaborate, have them work on a Google Doc. Skype with experts. We Skyped with some experts from around the world. We Skyped with an astronaut. We Skyped with Greg Tang, who is a math expert. All of these are ways that students can really see the benefits of math outside of the math classroom. And finally, like I mentioned before, it just having the teacher differentiate, providing opportunities through either BCPS1 or other ways for students to just kind of think about things in different ways and meet those needs. Your final concern is that not all students have email addresses. To be honest, there are a variety of tech tools out there where students do not need email addresses. Even Google Docs, you do not need an email address. Some of these, such as Audacity, Windows Movie Maker, are all part of our device if you're a Baltimore County employee. Vocaroo is free, you do not need an email address, and it provides students the opportunity to voice record. This has a lot of different implications, especially if students are able to speak before they write. Poplet is another mapping tool. Wixie has a lot of different applications. Wixie, is the Pixie equivalent of a web tool. So these are just some ways that we can think about using tools and using the SAMR model to reflect. If you have any questions, feel free to email Jessica or myself. I hope that this tutorial was beneficial to you.